T's Corner, and I am coming to you with a book review again. It is the Book 6, Siege of Macindaw, and it is awesome. So, real quick, as always, we go through factors and then we do an overview. So, this book has some factors in it. They have homemade tattoos. There is a kiss on page 280 between Alice and Will. Doesn't go into a lot of detail there. But on page 4, there is some detail on a death of 2 Scandians. So we will remember from book 5 that John Buttle was given to the Scandians to get rid of him because he was a nuisance and he was supposed to die. He didn't die. So he was given to the Scandians as, cargo. Let's put it that way. And on page 4, the ship is about to go down. Instead of letting the guy drown, they cut him loose. And he rewards them with killing 2 of their men. So slicing throat, gutting them, that kind of thing. And then he runs off. So that's how our book starts. So Gundar has some problems going on. There is a lot of language in this. As always, Scandians, they're not much better than pirates, but they're more mercenaries. So they go on raiding seasons and all of that. So they have a lot of language. It's the usual, damn, damnable, damned, cursing, hell, prig, and then there's God used in a variety of different ways. Again, there's homemade tattoos on page 73, so just be aware of that. Don't let, if you have kids that are interested in doing crazy things, then that may be something that you want to cover up or do whatever, but it does say that they wound themselves, put ink into it, and then let it heal, and that's their homemade tattoo. So this book really focuses on trying to figure out what Sir Karen is doing and how John Buttle got to Macindaw. So John Buttle was our villain in book 5. He gets away from the Scandians and makes his way to Macindaw as the second in command for Sir Karen. So they're both villains now. They've teamed up. And we find out that this is the overview, so if you plan on reading it, skip this part. They find out that the Picta, which I called them on my book 5 review, Scotty people, but the Scotty are what they call themselves, but their actual country name is Picta. So the Picta are planning to invade Araluen, not just have a raiding party. So just keep that in mind. That is what is going to happen. So they have a timeline where they have about 10 days where they need to retake Castle Macindaw before the Picta army comes of 200 people to take Castle Macindaw and then spread to Norgate 5 and take Norgate 5 as their bridgehold into Araluen to take over the rest of the kingdom. So, like I said, starting out, Gundar's had it rough. He's had a bad raiding season. His luck changed a little bit when he ran into Will at Sea Cliff 5 down in the bottom half of the kingdom, the southeast, southwest, whichever. Will helps them get food and stuff so that they can survive on Cape Shelter, which is, a desolate island that Will was on himself, so he knows what they're facing. He knows why they've stopped here. And then he leaves on his mission. They leave to go to Cape Shelter, and they run into a storm. When that storm hits, they hit a reef, and their keel is twisted. So the main seam of the boat, the bottom of the boat, the middle, whatever, it's twisted and irreparable. So now they're on foreign soil with no way home and with no ship to get there. So they have to figure out what their next step is. And that's when Will finds them again. And he brings them to Healer's Meadow, or Healer's Clearing is what he calls it. And he tells them, hey, we will hire you to help us take Castle Macindaw. and he finds Horace being undercover as Hawken, as a freelance, which is a knight that doesn't have a master at the moment. So he's traveling, trying to find Will, and Will finds him and brings him to Healer's clearing as well. Now all they have to find out is what's happening, when it's happening, and start planning. So they make plans to steal the Picta general that comes across to talk to Sir Karen, and when they capture him, Will almost dies because, as we were told in book 5, he's undercover. He's got a white and black cloak instead of his normal camouflage, and he's undercover as a jungler, so he doesn't have his ranger normal setup. So he has his Six knife, which is like a small axe. Actually, no, it isn't a small axe. Ignore that. He has a six knife on his belt, but his throwing knife is in his collar. And every time he goes to fight in this book, he nearly dies trying to get to that knife because the collar is funny and the cloak is, in the way all the time, so he can't ever get to that knife. So he's testing out a new, undercover outfit, and it's not working in his favor. It nearly kills him. So in this book, there's also, in chapter 22, it goes into detail on mythical creatures and demons and, different beliefs. John Flanagan is really good about the world building. So we learn more about Picta's beliefs and Scandian's beliefs, and they actually bring up some of their gods, too, as swearing, oh, Gorlog's teeth, So it's really cool to read that. So they find out they have 10 days to make a siege on Macindaw, and how they're planning to do that, and they go about it. They get to Macindaw, they start fighting. The battle's going really well, but Will sees Sir Karen going into the tower where Alice is located. So Will goes after him and fights people along the way up through the tower, and now he's facing off with Karen, and Alice is hypnotized. She loses her star stone. When Karen grabs her, it's pulled out of her sleeve by accident. So she's hypnotized, and she starts attacking Will. And Will knows that she won't remember anything that happens. So he confesses he loves her and says, I forgive you, I love you. Nothing will ever change that. And that snaps her out of it. And she's in complete shock that she almost killed her best friend. So the battle ends. Everybody starts to go home. The dog stays with Trobar at the healer's clearing. They need each other, so Will gives the dog away, and it's heart-wrenching because that's always a hard thing to do. But there's a lot of tension between Alice and Will. There is the kiss on page 280 where she kisses him, but he's not prepared to, say it again. If she remembers, he's assuming that if she remembered it, then she would bring it up, or she would ignore it if she didn't have any feelings. But if she had the same feelings, she would say something to him. Well, they're both kind of, missing each other, and Horace is like, intelligent people can be so dumb sometimes. So weeks pass. He goes back to Seacliff, and Alice writes to him, I'm having this recurring dream over and over, and Horace tells me it could be a memory. If it is, then I love you too. Tell me if this is true or not. And instead of writing a letter back, because it'll take about a week to get to her, he decides Tug is outside, his horse is outside, already saddled. It'll take 3 days to get there. He's going to go see her instead. And that's how it ends, with him running off again. So, book 7 is around the corner. I'm actually waiting for it to be delivered because somebody has my book right at the moment. And book 7 actually goes to the time skip between book 4 and 5. So those 5 years, there is a time skip, and we have a story that fits into that to tell us what happened between then. So, look for it soon. Bye!